There is a term in Sanskrit and Pali, namarupa, and it's a compound term, namarupa. That's Namarupa, namarupa. It means basically it's the closest thing to the word mind body that we find in this tradition. And literally, it means sort of nama in this context means mental or mind, and rupa means form or physicality. So it's mental physicality, or it's mind and matter, um, and which is largely the mind body um, compound term that we use in English when we talk about mind body. There is this precedence in that the Buddha taught, and so there seem to, of course, seem to be right here, rooted in these earliest of the Buddhist texts, um, a relationship between mind and body. If you've ever wondered, is this something that was taught back? Yes, it was. Um, these two qualities that inform how we are in the world, the mind and the physical body, are very much interrelated and interdependent. They rely on each other in many ways. Um, and they're always changing, right? We know this about the mind, the body too. All of our states, everything we're experiencing is fundamentally impermanent because we're constantly changing. And often it's the mind that is impacting the body. We often talk about stress reduction, about how our thoughts and how the way we think impacts the physical body, triggering triggering all kinds of processes in addition to the fight, flight, freeze response around fear and so on. And so namarupa is this quality. I think you also find it in some Hindu traditions, this term. In Buddhism, it really is about how do I practice with the physicality and the mind. It's not just working to get the mind to settle the body, but in fact, consistent with mindfulness practice, we can rely on the physical body to help condition the mind and bring it more into balance, into mental balance. Um, and so we're in a way we're sort of turning that cycle around. Of course, both are mutually influential, but to practice meditation, we're really allowing ourselves to go into the rupa, the form body, or the physiology, the physicality, to help mirror the quality of the mind that we're wanting to cultivate. Yeah. Sometimes it's easier if you're fighting with your mind to just let it be and drop your awareness into the physical body, opening the senses, and let yourself really feel the physicality of your embodiment in the present moment. That begins to be, this is actually one of the dimensions of Buddhist meditation that really kind of defines it, is using the things of this world to metabolize and cultivate a subtler form of mind. Yoga does this too, by the way. The 8 limbs of yoga, with beginning with us, well, begins with the um, ethics and the restraints and such, but then goes into asana, into physical posture. So the long tradition of this, and interestingly, movement, action, activity serves to suppress or mask over both the suffering that we experience, right? So this is one reason why if we're overcome with an unpleasant feeling, or if we're stressed out about something, it's the process of movement will actually mask the discontentedness, the suffering we're experiencing. It serves almost as a buffer, so we don't have to feel it as intensely. And in my opinion, it also masks the potential to ease suffering. That part of us that is sort of the liberative quality of suffering, the subtlety. So it masks suffering and that which eases suffering. And then we get stuck in this cycle, in this loop of constantly doing, constantly being busy. When things are difficult, challenging, if we're feeling a little out of control, action, 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 rather than slowing it down, dropping even more deeply into that which eases suffering, the underlying nature of mind, where we actually can gain some perspective and not just be constantly in motion. Um, so, namarupa, that was one term. The second term that we find in largely in Theravada Buddhism, this is a sort of a more monastic form of Buddhism, is a quality called nimitta. Nimitta, nimitta. Nimitta is often translated as a sign or an indicator that you are having kind of a momentary experience of this sort of blissful, bright, underlying nature of awareness. So a nimitta is an experiential quality where you go, oh, wow, I'm actually feeling really settled. The mind is clear and there's a little bit of a lightness to the experience. And maybe it lasts for just a split second and then it's gone. That is what we call a nimitta. It's an experience of the underlying nature of mind as it reveals itself. And it's so easy then to contract around it and try to analyze it and go, what is this? What do I do with this? Right. And so the instruction is to take a step back to the prior stage of your practice. This is where the conditions were arising that led to you having that experience. So rather than trying to go forward with it and again engage in activity with it, is let yourself settle back into that stage in which it arose, you know, and just let yourself open to it. Now, sometimes that can lead to a little bit of like, oh my gosh, what is going on? What is happening? This is not a familiar feeling. This is kind of new. If you're new to practice, haven't had these experiences. And then, of course, there can be a backing away out of fear. But we work with those edges and it's all okay. Yeah, it's all okay. It's just a little part of that underlying nature has revealed itself. It's kind of cool. And the point to cultivating stillness, whether we're standing meditation or seated practice, perhaps even walking, it's not whether or not we're in movement, but it's the degree of mindfulness we bring into the movement. You know? So for some people, yoga practice does this, right? If you're really rooted in an asana practice and you're feeling just this equipoise, this quality of balance and stillness in the heart, the mind is settled, that can happen too in that tradition. So this is kind of just sort of seeking to explain a bit the potential here in actually embodying stillness, slowing things down. It doesn't have to be perfectly still, but incorporating more of a sense of a very easy lightness and flow to being in your body. And that can open the doorway then to deeper states.